Today I want to share with you my Strathmore mixed media journal. I wrote it down years ago what it was. Strathmore visual journal mixed media. It's 9 by 12 and I bought this in 2017 and I just finished it in 2025. This main idea of this was to just get into the flow state. Just work in a sketchbook that wasn't rigid and I didn't have any rules or plans, and I just kind of went for it. A lot of times I didn't look at a source. I just started to draw or paint and do collage and all kinds of things. So let's go ahead and start flipping through it so that you can see. So in 2017, I bought this and I was like, ooh, mixed media, I can like put anything down. So I started with this page, and let me tell you, I have come a long way since this original page. But you can see I used stencil and some collage and some drawing to get this first page in. And then I have some other drawing and things in here. Some things look great and some things don't look so great. And that's what a sketchbook is all about. It gives you the freedom to discover, play, and grow in your art practice. So here is one I tried to make it like an abstract with florals. And this one here, I had purchased some gelatos and I had never really played with them before. So I put the gelatos on here. I stamped with them. I just did all kinds of things. And just to see what they would do. And they have a little bit of shimmer to them. And if you don't know what gelatos are, after all this time, I still have them. This one's almost gone because I've used it the most. Whereas this one, there's a lot because I don't use red a lot. So this might be my second set. But I don't think so. I think this is my original set, but it is from Faber-Castell gelatos, and this one has like a shimmer to it. This particular set does. So yes, and I've used that for many projects. This was another one of these, but in the blues and the cool colors, blues, greens, and purples. This was a collage that I attempted to do, and I don't like this at all. I don't like how it turned out. I didn't have any plan. I was just in the flow state, and sometimes, things don't work out. Here I drew, which I love to draw, and here again I did some collage. Another drawing, and this one I actually used the gelatos for this. And then this was leftover paint. So I don't know about you, but I hate wasting leftover paint, especially when it comes to acrylic. And so if I have leftover paint and I'm done with my project, I will use it in just a fun, playful way within my sketchbook, and that's what this is. Here I did a drawing with some of my watercolor brushes, and then again another collage. This is just play and flow and just slapping things on and kind of seeing what will happen, because a lot of it is just play and discover, and like, what will happen if I stick this tag on here. And what I did discover is, this will not move at all. It all went down there. I put some washi tape on here. I cut some paper out. Yeah, just did all kinds of really just weird and odd things just to see what would happen. This spread is one of my favorites. I did work with watercolor and graphite. So the graphite, I drew her in, and then I used the watercolor to put in all of the color. And I actually did this in 2023. So in my sketchbooks, I don't work page to page to page chronologically. I jump all over the place. So there's pieces in here that are from, like this one is from 22. Trying to think, that this one is from 23. So there's just, they're not in any particular order, and that is really how I often work in my sketchbooks. Here I was trying to figure out how ink would work with the modeling paste. So I have this golden paste, and I wanted to see what would happen if I covered it. Here I've got the different inks, and then I put the modeling paste over to see like how much it would show up. So this book has been great for trying to experiment. This is a big stencil that I tried with the modeling paste or molding paste by Golden, so that I could just see what kind of texture would show up. Here are a couple that I did just kind of playing around. Did some swatches, trying to work with mixing, and it was an epic fail. This is not one of my favorites, but I certainly figured out, I was trying to blend the orange and the magenta and the sap green together, and actually I've come a long way since this, and now I can mix it, and I feel more comfortable mixing those colors. So you got to start somewhere, right? Just some random pages, again, completely random, just trying to get into that flow state as an artist. This was a couple more of the inks. I actually had these 3 as a set, and then this pink sherbet, and then these 2 were part of the set too, but just putting that modeling paste over it. This is watercolor, so I did do some watercolor in here. I don't know what this was. Also watercolor. A mixed media that I did in the fall of 2023. And then this, I love how this turned out. I did put some collage in there. I drew the girl, and I used some of my gelatos again and some watercolor. I really like how this spread turned out. Here's some more. So I just did these, like I did this one the other day, and I did this one like last week to try to fill in the pages. But I was trying to put some collage down and then some flowers. And this one I was working with my metallic copper and just seeing how that would work on the page. Here's a drawing that I did, and I used some of my pens from Archer and Olive, and sometimes I forget about them, and so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna grab a few, make swatches, and do a drawing with them, and see how they work out. This one I did in 2022. And it has the micron pens. If you're not familiar, this is a micron pen, and some watercolor and some colored pencils and some inks. Like, it has a lot of different things going on. So here is where I really nerded out with my mixing. And I wanted to figure out the mixing for my acrylic flow paint. Let me show you a couple. So I got this, I said flow, it's fluid acrylic. So I had purchased some golden fluid, and I picked specific colors for blending. And then so that I would get familiar with them and more comfortable with them, I worked out this color chart. And now I just feel more and more comfortable with these colors. And it's the same thing that I was talking about back here, where I would kind of play around with them, but I really needed to kind of map out and figure out what I was doing. And this is where I use that, the sap green and the orange, and then the nickel yellow, which I didn't pull out, to try to get these different blending techniques. And then I just put a piece of washi tape in here so that when I need a quick reference, I know exactly where it is. So I did that. And then on that same day, I used whatever paint I had left over and made these different flowers. So just a way to, again, I didn't want to waste the paint, so I used it on that. This was the pyrrole orange with the titanium buff that I was working with. And then I had a bunch of leftover paint, so I put it on here and then I drew over it. Here I did a collage that kind of looks like a quilt. I just did all these different papers that I felt like went together. They complemented each other. And some of this is going into my future artwork. So again, experimenting here and then taking it to bigger pieces when I'm ready. And this was just leftover paint that I did like a landscape with. Here I drew out a couple of butterflies. I don't have butterflies in my work a lot, but when I do, I want to know, how to draw them, obviously. And so here I was just practicing with some butterflies. This is watercolor, I believe, but I went in with my micron pen first, and then I went in with the watercolor. So that's called an ink and wash. And I just made really crisp and clean lines and then went in with that watercolor. This was a demonstration that I did for a group that I was teaching how to do mixed media. And since I was teaching all kinds of different techniques, it looks like a complete disaster. It doesn't really have any rhyme and reason, but I was showing the tools that I have and how to apply them. And so I had Mod Podge, I had put some ribbon on here and some paper. I had used some different mark making tools and some acrylics, and I was just showing all of the different things that you can do. I think I had a Posca pen and I drew on there as well. So yeah, and I did some splattering, I think. Yeah, just showing them what you can do with mixed media. So this was, again, I used a micron pen, drew it in, and then actually, no, I didn't. I used a Posca pen, but one of the little thin Posca pens for that. And then I was trying to keep that purple from the grapes like throughout the whole piece, even into the leaves. And I really like how it turned out. It was a lot of fun to work with. This I did in 2022. This was this year, 2025. This was 2022. I actually did a video on YouTube with this. So you can go back and check that out if you want to. But it was, I drew it in with the micron pen and then I went in with the watercolor. This was a lot of fun. So these are 2 pages of leftover paint, And then once they dried, then I went back in with some graphite and I drew in some images, and I just kind of like left, this one I just left there. And this one I went back in and added some color just to help those necklaces pop off the page. And they're on a stack of books. And again, this is just a way to use like leftover paint, but not let it go to waste. And it's kind of cool how it turned out. I used copper for this one so you can see it shines a little bit. If you can see that. So fun. This was just kind of a practice that I did to get into the flow state. There's no rhyme or reason. You're just drawing and painting and drawing, and the lines are just flowing. And there's, again, no rhyme or reason. It just really helps you to get into the flow state. I really love how this turned out. So this was extra paint again, but I was more strategic about it. So I had leftover this red, I don't remember what color this is, to be honest with you, but it's like a tomatoey red, and I had leftover, and so I put it on this page. And then the next time I had leftover paint, I put it here. And then the next time I had leftover paint, I put it here and here. And so by the time that they dried, then I went and grabbed some of my pens that I had and drew on top of those that leftover paint that I had. So you can really get creative with that leftover paint. You've already seen like several examples of, you know, what I can do with that leftover paint. But yeah, super fun. Just drawings from my head. I wasn't looking at a source or anything, just drew them out. So fun. This one, I was trying to incorporate some like a pattern or a quilt like feel down here. It's not exactly a quilt feel, but like some kind of fabric. And then I went in with this wispy flowers, and I did this as kind of an experiment to play around as I was creating some sources for some upcoming pieces. And now this idea is now in some of my fine art pieces. So that's fun. And this is a great way to use a sketchbook to kind of start here, get the idea out of your brain and onto paper, and then you can refine it in your larger pieces. This is a drawing of something that I found on Pinterest, and I just thought it was interesting. So I drew that. And then this one was I think I used the fluid acrylic in the background, and then I used some of the modeling paste or molding paste. I don't know. Is it molding paste or modeling? Let me know in the comments if you know, because I don't know. I think it's molding, but anyway. Anyway, I put that all over the top, and then I drew this chandelier. So just trying to see what I could do on top of those layers. And then I did the same thing here. I did a layer, put the modeling paste, and then I went in with these colors and drew in the old-fashioned camera. I wanted this to look like paper and that the rose was tied in here. I used 3 brush strokes to create this flower. I was doing that on purpose. I used a large mop brush to do that. So I literally just did like maybe 4. It was something like that to create this, and it was a lot of fun. And then I also used this new pearl alcohol ink over it as well, and it kind of has like a shimmer. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a shimmer there, and then I put it in a couple of other places. But again, it's a sketchbook is a great place for you to try some of your new tools or new mediums or materials that you haven't used before, just to test them out before you use them on a larger piece of canvas or something like that. And then that's it. Oh no, one more. Okay, so this was again leftover paint and some stamps. And I was just cleaning off my stamp and I happened to have this out. And then this is the last page. I did another where I used the fluid in the back. I put the paste on, the golden paste on top. And then I went in with my art graph and I drew that in. And again, this is practice for larger pieces. And that is the last page. So I don't have anything here. I think I'm going to use this last page and just kind of journal about some of the processes that I used within here, so that I can remember and I can refer back to it. These sketchbooks are great because if I ever want to use a technique in a larger piece of art, I can come here and I can kind of flip through and I can see what I've done in the past and what's worked for me and what hasn't worked for me, and how I can incorporate that into something else. So I hope that you enjoyed this today, this fun flip through of my book. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask down below. And if there's anything that you saw and you thought, ooh, I'd really like to learn how to do that, let me know, and I would love to kind of play around and see if I can get a video together for you on how I did that. Thanks again. Until next time. Bye.